So my girlfriend was turning 40 and was doing a big trip out to Santa Barbara, California to drink all the wine and celebrate her big birthday. And I had another commitment that fell through. So last minute, it's like, I'll do this. I'll book a ticket. She lived in another state, so I don't normally see her. I'll book a ticket. I'll go celebrate. This is going to be great. Get all this time with these couple friends that I never see. So I fly out there, and there's 25 people on this trip, which is amazing. She attracted so many good friends, and they wanted to celebrate. That was awesome. I knew 3 of them, which was fine. I am very happy to be social and go have some wine with people I don't know and make friends. But as I came home and some of my girlfriends who didn't get to go were asking me, so how'd that trip go? I was kind of disappointed. And as I put my finger on it, I realized that the whole reason I wanted to go was to spend time with my friends that I never got to see. The 3 people on that trip that I actually knew. And I didn't get that quality time because we were in this huge group of 25. So it really made me rethink how I'm going to plan vacations and which vacations I'm going to invest in. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Welcome to Diary of a Worthy Pursuit,
where we talk about how to get what you truly want in life and in business.
So this vacation, did you know that there were going to be that many people going?
To be fair, I did know
that
so many people were going, but I didn't have this internal dialogue with myself of, well, what do you want to get out of this vacation? I was just so excited that I had the opportunity to go because, you know, I live in Wisconsin and this is California and we were going to go drink some wine, so it sounded awesome.
That sounds great no matter who you're with.
Right, exactly. And I don't think that I truly knew about myself the kind of vacation I wanted before I went into it until I analyzed it after the fact.
Gotcha. So here we are helping people, right?
Right, exactly. Well, especially as we're coming up on summer when we're recording this and people are planning for family vacations, I think that this is really telling because sometimes we have a hard time unplugging and actually enjoying our vacation.
Extremely.
Or my husband and I have this it's a first world problem. He wants this kind of vacation and I want this kind. He likes lounging around and sitting on the beach and I'm cool with that. I think as I get older, I like that more and more. But I also want to go do things. Right? We're only going to be in this place once. So let's go do the zip line. Let's go do the snorkel or all the things. And he's game. He just needs downtime. In between it. But when we first started vacationing together, when we started dating, I don't know, however many years ago, it was interesting to see how our vacation styles didn't jive.
All right, interesting. My wife's the same way where she wants the beach.
Yeah.
And I want to go see the world, eat the food, meet the people, all that kind of stuff. The beach, I'm like, 5 minutes, I've seen it, we're good. It's not going anywhere. I mean, I've seen waves before, so let's just see the world and see more.
Yeah.
Instead of just another place. So I'm with you on that one.
So I think when you're preparing for a vacation, it's really important to kind of get an idea of what kind of vacation do you want? Even just start there. I will ask my husband, so where do you want to go? He's like, well, I don't care about where I'm going to go. It's what are we going to do?
Oh,
so are we going to, and this is kind of contradicting, but like, are we going to go on a ski vacation? Are we going to go on a beach vacation? Are we going to go to the mountains? And then he cares less, like, okay, we're going to go to a beach, just go find any beach. I don't care. I'm just going to lay on the beach. Yeah.
All right.
He's not the planner of the two of us.
Okay. All right.
But I think it's important to try to understand what kind of vacation do you want and who's going with you. What do they want? We did a trip to France last June with my 2 brother-in-laws and their girlfriends.
All right.
And we had a call. Maybe one lives in Milwaukee, one lives in California, and we're closer to Madison. And so we did this Zoom call, like, well, what do you want to get out of this vacation? What do you want to get out of this vacation? And I took a step back and I thought, like, that was really adult of us that we had this conversation, because what we learned was my husband and I have kids. No one else has kids. We wanted some alone time on that vacation. They didn't really care. They wanted to spend time together, which was great. So did we. But we were like, I want a date night.
Okay, I was going to say alone time with you and your husband, or alone time like you with no one else in France kind of thing.
I don't know if I could do that, but yeah, I agree that I wanted a date night with my husband in Paris.
Gotcha, because they get date nights all the time.
They get date nights all the time, right? They don't have a 3 and 5-year-old running around coming up 5 times after bedtime.
Sure.
So it was this conversation that we had that I think was super helpful, because while they weren't excited about it on the front end, like, oh, you don't want to spend any time with us? No. I just want a little alone time with my husband that I never get. Once we actually got on the trip, they were more accepting of not my boundary, but what I wanted out of it.
Got it. What did they want that you were surprised about? Or
I think they just wanted to spend more time together. Though it was interesting, again, this is something that you should know about who you're traveling with. My husband and I like to vacation and see the country. We're not city people.
Okay.
So when we did Paris, my brother-in-laws and their girlfriends went inside and toured some of the churches, or they toured some of the museums, and we were just like, let's get some e-bikes and ride around Paris and experience the streets of Paris.
All right.
Or like we'd ride to different neighborhoods and experience those neighborhoods. And then we stayed in Paris a day and we got out.
Oh,
And
interesting.
we did the countryside and we loved that. So I think it's the tip here is just visualize what you want out of the vacation and then make sure that you are communicating that so the other people traveling with you aren't surprised when they show up that they're not going to get what they want.
All right. I like that. You know, it's interesting when you brought up this topic, my first thought was going to what am I preparing on the back at like my day-to-day stuff. What am I doing with the business, the employees, you know, family, all that jazz. The vacation I figured will take care of itself, but you're raising a huge point. It won't. If you just show up from the airport and be like, now what? That's not necessarily a great place to be.
Well, but I think what you bring up though is good in that we still are business owners or want to be business owners or side hustlers, so we have to prepare. But what kind of experience do you want? Like if you run a company that's dependent on you all the time, are you cool taking text messages or emails while you're gone, or do you want to completely unplug? And if you want to take those, then I think your prep is a lot easier than if you want to completely unplug. And also, are you going to be gone for 5 days or 2 weeks? That might also change how available you need to be.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I have a buddy and I that go to a different city every year. And one of the first trips that we went on, I remember him on the phone on a work call. And I'm like, well, this isn't vacation. But then an hour later, I get a work call. And I was like, this isn't vacation. So I told my crew, yeah, I'm out. For the next couple days, just unless the building's on fire, and even if it's not a big one, just we'll deal with it when I get back.
Yeah, right.
There's no problem so big that it can't wait, or that you can't figure it out.
Fair.
Just giving them the power to do that.
Another opportunity for people to grow while you're
Right.
gone.
But it was one of those things where I had to tell them,
Yeah.
don't bug me, kind
Right.
of thing. I don't bug you on your vacation.
Yeah.
So, but it's also one of those as a business owner, you get to punch in when you started. You don't necessarily get to punch out,
No.
at least not till you sell
Right.
or die, one of the two.
However you exit said business.
Yeah, whichever comes first. So that's the challenge as the entrepreneur, where you're like, how long can I be out and how long can I be without communication?
Right.
Which is tough.
It is tough. And I think that then this kind of plays into another topic that we should probably cover as we're talking about this someday down the future is, are you building a business that you have to be working in every day, or does the business work without you?
Yeah.
Because if you want to be able to take a 2 week or a month vacation, even if you're kind of getting on the verge of retirement or you just want that life for yourself, you need to design your business in such a way that you can afford to do that and everything's going to be taken care of.
Yeah, I did a video, oh my gosh, years ago. This is probably, well, I don't know. I don't want to date it. 6 years ago, let's say. That was, can you take 2 weeks off?
Oh.
And I remember doing the video, and I'm giving all these tips on a little whiteboard, right? Not a very highly produced video, but still a good one. And I was thinking to myself, I don't know if I can take 2 weeks off from my business. And so I posed the challenge to myself to be able to take 2 weeks off. And I laid out some ground rules. One of the ground rules was that I can look at my phone for 20 minutes each day.
Okay.
But that's it. That's cap. So 20 minutes would give me enough to button up anything that was on fire from the day before, as well as try to clear the junk from the inbox,
Yeah.
so that I wouldn't come back to an inbox with 5 billion messages.
Fair.
And I did it. I cheated a little bit because I did it with Thanksgiving
Okay.
in there. So that's whatever, Thursday, Friday, the
So
weekend
other
was in
people
there.
were also not working on those
Yeah,
days.
so it was one of those like, all right, it's 2 weeks, but I'm taking 4 of those days, and
Right.
we already had off. So, but I did it. I went to
Yeah.
a Tony Robbins event. I did. I think I started writing my book back then. But it was interesting because it was fine.
Right.
The world didn't stop spinning. Right, business still kept moving. And it was one of those like, oh, I built that up to be more of a problem in my head than it really was.
Just a pebble, not a boulder.
Yeah.
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 But I love that you intentionally designed that and you made moves to make that work, right? So then the next tip, again, that we have for you is just plan for the absence. If you're going to, what needs to happen at home? If you have kids, are you taking said kids? Or if you are taking them, do you have a dog? Do you have, all that typical stuff. What needs to be taken care of at home and arrange for all that. And then at work, what needs to happen while you're out? And so it's nice if you know when your vacation is coming. I mean, last minute vacations are great.
Sure.
But it's nice if you know when it's coming so you're not like planning a launch or launching some new campaign or
Right.
like your client has a big event and you're going to expect a bunch of calls that you have to support, right? So trying to plot it in a good place is
Right.
hopefully common sense, but I think then planning work around it. So if you're not going to answer email, does that mean you need to find someone you can trust to look at your email and try to do some triage?
Right.
Or does someone need to take your calls? You're going to forward your calls because you don't want those. So I think this looks different for different people depending on how long you want to be out.
Yeah. Yeah, you raised an interesting point about the stuff, like even the email thing. As you said it, I'm like, who would I trust to be in my inbox? I don't know that I have that person.
Fair.
Because I could see some employee sending me this message saying, hey, problems. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then an employee that this other employee doesn't know is going to see that is going to be like, wait, I'm the problem?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So there's a risk there. So, but I also don't want to be the person that has the vacation reply, the autoresponder, because that's just like, hey, I'm not taking care of your email inbox, so I'm going to fill up yours. I don't feel like that's right either.
That's interesting.
So, yeah, I don't have a good answer for that one. At least not until you get a trusted person.
Right. And maybe that's an executive assistant for some folks.
Yeah.
Maybe if your business is big enough, maybe you have one of those, or you have a VA who's not an employee who wouldn't be impacted by that. But also, I think the out of office message is not one I've really thought of. I've always put out an out of office responder because I try not to look at my email when I'm off. But I do the same thing where if I'm sitting around somewhere, I will clean it out because I don't want the dread of coming back to something super overwhelming. But this idea of not putting in an autoresponder because it's making work for someone else is interesting. I just got this email the other day from HubSpot. That's an email marketing automation platform. And it was a reminder of their week of rest.
Okay.
They have an annual week of rest, and they do it the week of 4th of July, especially when the 4th falls during the week. But I found it so interesting because they were notifying me in advance that they were going to have limited support availability because they were taking this National Week of Rest, and then within the email it talked about all the benefits of rest and what that can do for their people to come back in a very focused, centered way. So I think there's a few different approaches, but it is interesting that if you're not going to put out an autoresponder, then you probably do have to look at your email so those people don't think that you're not addressing them for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's one of those things to me. I'll give you a really quick example.
Yeah.
I paid for some advertising. I only got half the advertising.
Okay.
So I sent an email to the person that I was advertising with saying, hey, I only got half the advertising. So I get this autoresponder saying that they're on vacation for the next week and a half. And to me, I'm like, I don't care. I'm not going to mark my calendar when your vacation is.
Yeah.
I'm not going to follow up, figure it out, okay, in a week and a half I should email this guy. That email should still be sitting in your inbox.
Right.
So I'm expecting a response. But in the meantime, my problem's not solved. And you got my money, but I didn't get the service.
Right.
Right? And it's one of those, I felt as a customer that you don't care. And on the flip side, or even deeper, I'm like, you're on vacation. What if your plane crashes and you die? Who's looking in your inbox to mop that up?
Yeah.
Is this email going to be like, oh, didn't you know Steve died? Whatever. So we don't have your advertising kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, maybe the lesson there is that as an employer, we all need to do a better job of helping employees go on vacation so that when those problems arise, customers aren't sitting and waiting.
Yeah. We used to have an individual email for every employee. Now we still do, but that's more or less for internal stuff. Now we have a team at callsoncall.com.
Oh, interesting.
So it's all inclusive and we have a sorter, an email sorter in the morning, different email sorter in the afternoon.
Okay.
So when an email comes in from a client, that client knows that email is taken care of.
Yeah.
So even if they have a lead and that lead is on vacation or something like that, the client still just knows that it's taken care of.
Yeah.
Because what was happening was client would email an employee. Employee would either be sick, on vacation, something like that, but nobody else is in that inbox of that employee.
Right.
So nobody knows.
Well, that's amazing redundancy. You know, my VA just started doing this where she's like, email team at, and then if I go on vacation, someone else will be taking care of it.
Yeah.
So as a customer, it does feel like you're taken care of. And hopefully then, as a business owner, someone's handling your stuff. I love
Right.
that solution.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's worked out really well.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so our next tip for you for planning for your vacation is just to unplug and be present. And I think this is a struggle for all of us. But one of the things that I do on vacation is I will allow myself airport time. So I don't show up for vacation until I actually I'm boots on the ground in the place that I am. Because if I need to button things up or do whatever, I'll use my time in the airport, I'll use my time on the plane. And my husband and I kind of have this agreement because he's usually listening to an Audible or doing the thing. He is an employee for someone else, but he doesn't bring work home. So he's not typically doing work while we're prepping. But I am usually trying to tie up loose ends before I go, making arrangement, things like that. So I use that time. And also, I feel like we sometimes travel at odd hours, especially if we're not traveling with kids. So if I can do email at 8 p.m. and organize some things that then people aren't going to see until the next day, I feel like I got a little ahead.
Yeah.
Maybe
Plus it's uninterrupted time, more or less. When you're in the airport, you're just sitting there for an hour or 7, whatever.
Hopefully not 7, right.
Not
But people can't get a
intentionally.
hold of you, but you can do the thing.
Yeah, and what else are you going to do?
Right.
You're just sitting there at one of the most boring places in the world.
Yeah.
Seemingly, right? And you have all this time, you got your laptop. Like,
Right.
bang out some stuff, start writing your book,
Right.
whatever. I mean, you got the time that you're, I don't want to say forced to be there, but I mean, you're there with extra time.
And you can't really do anything else.
No.
I mean, well, if you don't have work, then I would encourage, like, do something to grow yourself. So read or listen to a podcast or whatever that thing is. But the thing then that I like to do before I go on vacation, this is kind of my like step 2.5 before unplugging, right, is as I'm packing, I like to think about what do I want to do on vacation, right? So I already kind of visualize the vacation in front, but now I'm like, what am I going to prioritize? Okay, so we went to Belize in March for a friend's wedding. We were only there for 5 days. We'd been there before. And so I was like, well, we're less inclined to do some of the excursions to pay for because we've done some of that stuff. So I just want to sit and read a book. Fiction. I'm going to sit and read some fiction that I don't read a lot of that. So it was nice to get that in. I want to do a yoga class. And so as I was thinking about this while I was packing, I was able to think, okay, I need yoga clothes. Okay, how many books am I going to bring? How aggressive do I want to be here, right? I didn't pack enough. That vacation was awesome.
Wow.
Because I got so much opportunity to read.
All right.
But I like to think about what do I want to do while I'm there as I'm packing because it helps me kind of plan while I'm visualizing what needs to go in the suitcase.
All right.
So another question that I like to think about then is, are we going to go on a lot of like fancy date nights?
Sure.
So when we went to Paris, it's like, yeah, we're going to go to some cool restaurants. So I want to pack some things that we can go to some fancy restaurants. So I think that the packing is kind of my way of planning the boots on the ground time.
Yeah, it's a smart move.
But even things like, are you going to go for a hike while you're there? Or how are you going to connect with the people that you're with? You know, is that going to happen because you guys are going to rent some bikes and you're going to bike around the lake? Are you going to hike? Or are you going to only connect at dinner and the rest of the time you're not going to be with your group? So I think it's a really good opportunity to be intentional about how you're going to spend your time.
All right. I like that. Yeah, the packing to figure out day by day.
Yeah.
That's a smart move. My buddy and I always try to pack super light so we don't have actual luggage that we have to pick up because we just want to like land and go.
Right. I love that.
Well, and we try to pack small. Like we're not one of the people that tries to fit this huge monstrosity in the overhead bin. Like I'm the guy with the backpack.
Yeah.
The tiny backpack. Anyways, so we pack really light, which is tough to pack dress clothes
Right.
into a tiny backpack. We ended up at a restaurant that was pretty fancy, but it was early enough in the afternoon. I take that back. It was late in the afternoon, right before the dinner thing. And the bartender's like, hey, you guys, like in an hour, it's going to get classier in here.
Is that the word you use, classier?
Yeah, it was very diplomatic how she said it.
Okay.
But she was a cool bartender. We'd been there for a couple drinks, and we're like, yeah, no.
We'll see ya.
Yeah, because it was like, all I packed was black T-shirts.
Right.
Like, this is it. Because everything fit in a backpack.
Right.
So it was interesting.
Just different approaches.
Yeah.
Right? I love that. And the way I would think about how I'm going to spend my time if I'm going to go with my girlfriends is going to be different than if I'm going with a group of, husbands are along or even the kids are along. There's so much more packing that goes with that.
It's a different story. Yeah, then you're watching the
right?
carousel.
Yeah. So I think pulling it back to the story I talked about at the beginning, the thing that I didn't realize that I was disappointed about is I wanted quality time and I wasn't purposely designing how I spent my time to get my time with my three friends.
Right.
So while we're thinking about like, how do you want to spend your time and how do you want to do this? I think people connect in different ways. So have you ever read the book Love Languages?
Oh my gosh, I've been told about it.
Yeah.
But no,
so
I haven't read it.
There's 5 different love languages and I know mine is quality time. And it is not my husband's. And so when we do date nights, I am very adamant about you put your phone away. I'm the kind of person where you go to dinner with me, you don't put your phone on the table because I want to have a conversation. Because I don't know, that's just how I feel loved and then how I give love.
Wrong with it.
But then there's acts of service, there's words of encouragement, there's physical touch, and meaningful gifts, I think is the other one. So since I know that quality time is my love language, if I want to feel connected with people, that's what I want out of a thing. But someone else might spend their vacation saying, I'm going to search for the best gift to bring back to my kids.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because they are the meaningful gifts, love language.
So kids have love languages as well?
Yeah, from the book, they say that you should you should give your kids love in all of those areas, and then eventually, as they grow older, they'll probably start to be stronger in one than another.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
But, I mean, not that you have to go buy your kids a ton of gifts. But I have met people who, someone watched, my sister-in-law was like this, and God love her dogs are her kids, so she spent half the vacation going into shops searching for a meaningful gift for the person who watched her dogs.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, they're high maintenance dogs. They're good, but they're high maintenance. And we were gone for 2 weeks.
What gift was she getting them?
I think she just ended up giving them like a really nice cutting board and a coffee mug or something.
Their dog.
Oh, to the people who watched her dog.
Oh, God. Oh!
To the dog sitter.
Get them a bully stick. They'll love it forever, right?
They'll never remember you were gone.
Yeah.
But I think that that's also important to know about yourself as you're kind of planning this time. Because my husband, he could spend the whole vacation reading a book and be extremely excited about that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Interesting.
Can you think about a vacation that didn't go as you wanted, or at the end of it, you're like, yeah, that was kind of disappointing?
Every time I visit my in-laws. No. No, that's not disappointing. That's just an expectation. Exclusively 100%? No.
Okay.
No. The only one that I can think of, and I don't know if this would necessarily count as a vacation, we went to, my kid had a soccer tournament, so we stayed overnight, and it was going to be super fancy because there's a water slide at this hotel and all this kind of stuff. So that was planned by my wife purely for the kids' enjoyment, which is fine. That's what, we're going to the soccer tournament, whatever. The team, for the most part, most of the kids of the team or families of the team, were staying at this place, so the kids are just having a blast. We, the adults, are sitting around these tables in the loud hotel pool area. None of the adults are swimming or having a good time. The water slide is about 6 feet off the ground, so it wasn't exactly an adult water slide. So we're just sitting there. And it's interesting, this particular hotel, it was a cool hotel because they gave you 2 free drinks at the bar.
Awesome.
So the adults are like, great, we're going to drink and sit. And it was fine talking to people for a little bit, but I learned that there are some people that are just not interested in talking, right? I'm not one of those people. I'll talk to anybody about anything, but some people are just like one-word answers. And from my point of view, I'm like, we're here for 3 hours. We're going to be in this loud hotel pool room because it's super echoey and stuff like that for 3 hours. And I'm sitting next to this person. I feel like, why don't I get to know you? Tell me a story, right? And they showed no interest in learning about me, which is fine. But I was trying to probe them to learn more about them, and I was getting nothing. And I'm like, well, this sucks.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about this before. What I should have done is said, I know that somebody's watching my kid because there's 500 adults here, and I'll trust one of them. I should have said, hey, I'm going to do this thing in this town, whatever it is. Whoever wants to come can come. Maybe it's going to a different bar. Maybe it's checking out a restaurant. Maybe it's checking out some museum. Something other than sitting in that pool room.
Yeah, you didn't need 10 adults watching all of those kids.
No. Or saying, hey, I'm going to do this tomorrow. Today, how about you guys go do something? I'll watch the kids.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'd go for that, but maybe. Something where it's not just whatever. I think it was like 20 people just sitting around all these tables. And some people knew each other, so they were chatting, but most of us didn't. Like outside of sitting next to you at a soccer game, I don't know jack about you.
Yeah.
So it was one of those where like, this was a vacation because we stayed in a hotel. I guess that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
But no, it was terrible. Totally did not go as planned, but I didn't plan it. I didn't think about it.
Yeah, but awesome lesson learned that now when you go on these trips with your kid, you can make more experiences on the outside so you're not just sitting there feeling like you're wasting time.
So we find whatever town we're going to this tournament. We'll go to Atlas Obscura and find some crazy thing.
Yeah, love it. Oh, I forgot about that resource. Thank you for that reminder.
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
So I have a client that went on vacation, and we were kind of talking about some of this. She was going to be gone for 2 weeks. She was taking her kiddo. Her husband was not going. And so we had some of this conversation, and so I asked her, what is your goal of this vacation? And she's like, I don't think anyone has asked me what my goal of vacation is. And I'm like, well, I'm not trying to like prompt you into making this vacation professional and serious. I just mean, what do you want to get out of it? And her response to me was great. She's a critical care nurse, and she said, I just want to get quality time with my son. I work 12-hour shifts, 4 days a week, and I just don't always get that time to connect with him. So her love language is clearly also quality time. She was like, I want to do that. And so I probed and said, okay, so what kinds of decisions are you going to make on this vacation based on that goal? And she said, well, that likely means that I don't want to stay up late because my son is only 2 and he's going to be a monster the next day. So I'm going to prioritize going to bed. And I said, okay, well, what changes will you need to make in your day to make sure that you can get your kid to bed at a normal time? Well, that probably means I need to connect with my friends over lunch or have afternoon beach experiences rather than doing dinners or cookouts or things like that at night. Okay, that's helpful information. Does your son need a nap during the day? And are you going to prioritize that? Yeah, we probably should so he doesn't, blow up. Cool. So how are you going to organize those days? Is morning time for you guys and then he gets his nap and then you'll go do social things after he wakes up and then you have until bed, or what does this look like? And I think as we talked through this, she could go into her vacation more intentionally, and not everyone goes on vacation with young kids, so this doesn't apply. But I think the idea overall is that as you create some of these expectations for your vacation, it helps you make decisions. Just like your values help you make your decisions in your business, they can also help you make your decisions in your vacation. So you don't have to come back disappointed.
Yeah, I like the idea of finding the goal of vacation and then working backwards from that. That's very cool. Because in the end, most vacations aren't the cheapest thing in the world.
Right.
So
we spend so much money.
Yeah, you spend that time and money, you want to know what is the result that you're going for.
Right.
Instead of just throwing it and being like, I'm going on vacation because I'm told that's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
So it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I like it. I should do that. So are you going to invite your 3 friends to a different vacation?
I should. That's a great point. Or I'll just have to go out to Colorado and just visit them.
Oh, there you go.
And not go on a vacation with their 25 closest friends.
Sure. That sounds awesome. This has been Diary of a Worthy Pursuit,
where we talk about how to get what you truly want in life and business.